They hate us because hate is the only thing they are good at.
They hate us because hate is the only thing that they are good at. Wow, that is big if true. I mean, do you not hear yourself? The lame, spineless, brain rot propaganda that you're spewing right now? You coward. You sniveling little coward with no spine and no soul. They hate us because hate is the only thing that they're good at. As he flashes, a photo of the resistance, because the kids, are, because look what you've created, The entire civilization is against the state of Israel, like in the other Vice show segment that we watched, there's no need for Hamas to radicalize civilians, to radicalize the youth. They've watched their families be slaughtered, their civilization destroyed by Israel. So Israel is the radicalizing force in the Gaza Strip, and this is what you create. Look what you've created. You're showing a third world armed resistance group fighting for their human rights, and you're trying to get us to believe that they're terrorists because they're defending against their occupiers. We haven't even made it a minute in. This guy is just, I don't know, this guy is just full of shit.
They do hating really well, not only in Israel, by the way. Did you know that in the 90s, almost 500,000 Palestinians were kicked out of Kuwait for supporting Saddam Hussein, and they caused a lot of trouble in Jordan?
That's big if true. Look at Kuwait. Look over here. Look over there. Don't look at what we're doing. Saddam kicked the Palestinians out too. I love when Israeli chodes do Nazi rhetoric for their talking points. I love when they quote Hitler. That's awesome. This guy looks more like Joseph Goebbels the more and more this video goes on. Did you know that the United States turned away the Jews as well? Britain didn't want the Jews either. We had no choice but to put them in the camps.
So lots of them were kicked out of there as well. Palestinians...
Literally, this is exactly what Nazis say against the Jews. This is like he's doing anti-Semitism. This is like actual anti-Semitic, this is actual anti-Semitic rhetoric that is used against Jewish people. Well, why are they getting kicked out of everywhere they go? They're getting kicked out. They get kicked out of Germany, they get kicked out of Palestine. Nobody in Britain wanted them. They got kicked out of Europe. So then to turn it around and use that same rhetoric that was used on you, to use that and dehumanize another social or ethnic group and claim your own supremacy is vile shit, man. It's like you got some deep-seated psychological trauma and you're like fucking Ted Bundy. You got to take it out on somebody. Wild.
Murdered the Prime Minister of Jordan in 1971. After they shot him dead, one of the assassins went down on his knees, and I can't even say what he did. The Palestinians from Jordan...
Did he grape them with a metal rod like the Israelis do? Did he blow a baby's head off? Please, you're Israeli. You've seen this all before. You do this all the time, so it's just a normal Tuesday for you. Tell us what happened.
What I'm saying here is new to you. If you didn't know that the Palestinians caused a lot of trouble in Kuwait, Lebanon, and Jordan, then that is not your fault.
Again, typical Zionists, try not to project your crimes onto your own victims. You're naming all the countries that you have, Lebanon, Jordan, Egypt. These are all victims of your war crimes, your acts of aggression. Let's not forget in Lebanon, you want to talk about Lebanon, doing harm to Lebanon. Let's talk about 1982 when you bombed a Palestinian children's hospital and started a war. Or when you invaded Jordan, Egypt, and Syria in 1967. Another act of aggression, for which you have been formally condemned every year. I hear you listing all these countries, saying how Palestinians did these countries wrong. Meanwhile, the entire international community condemns you for war crimes in those countries. And they don't condemn Palestinians, most notably. That's so wild that you have resolution after resolution after resolution after resolution being written and concluded about you and condemning you. But go off, I guess.
The media doesn't like to talk about it. If Israel were to expel 500,000 Palestinians, the media would talk about nothing else for hundreds of years.
That's so funny that you say that, because the Israelis did expel 500,000 Palestinians. Plus, the Israelis have expelled millions and millions of Palestinians, so much that there is a diaspora worldwide. and they have no right to return. And in 1948 alone, you expelled 750,000 Palestinians. In fact, most of Palestine is a displaced refugee population now.
But Kuwait expels 500,000 and the world is like, did we hear anything?
That's so funny, because like the Western media is dyed-in-the-wool Israeli fanatics, right? And all of these things have been happening. Like he just said, if Israel ever expelled 500,000 Palestinians, the world would never shut up about it. Well, that actually happened way back in the 40s, and you know, nobody in the West batted an eye. In fact, it was sanctioned by the West. You could do none of these things without Western complicity, especially in the media. You control the media, you know? I'm talking about the Zionists. The Zionist narrative is 100,000% touted as the objective truth by Western media. There's 7 million stateless Palestinians who want to return to Palestine. Hey, that rhymes, Conqueror. That's a pretty good song lyric. Am Yisrael chai and my diapers are dry, but soon to be a water spree, a wet spree, a diarrhea, in my panties. All right, I'll shut up.
No, a large part of the media wants to depict the Palestinians as victims, and them being troublemakers just doesn't fit the narrative.
No, a large part of the media wants to depict Israel as the victims. I mean, you can't take this guy seriously. Actually, it's the fact that Israel is so egregious in their blatant violations of human rights and human rights abuses that the media can't even keep the story going anymore, because it's so obvious what's going on. You do? That's cute. Thank you, RC Pilot. Well, you know, I am a rapper, you know. I can freestyle. I'm really great at freestyling. Kind of taught Eminem everything he knew. Oh, it's a big time chode, big baby boy, you over there. Yes. This guy is a complete chode. This guy is little Joseph Goebbels.
If you don't agree with what I say, please prove me wrong.
I just did, motherfucker. You want me to keep doing it? I'm only at 2.5 minutes now. I've already waxed that ass. I've already cooked your ass, man. You haven't said one honest thing that hasn't been refuted by simple historical facts.
If you can, give me the name of one Jewish settlement that was built on Arab land before 1947.
Give you one Jewish settlement that was built on Arab land before 1947? I mean, is this guy for real? Every single one of them was built on Arab land. I know, and then what about all of them after 1947? Why does he go? Let's go back. Thank you for the follow.
Give me the name of one Jewish settlement that was built on Arab land before 1947. Did Kuwait expel 500,000 Palestinians?
It's like, yeah, but like, even if that wasn't true, that there were I mean, dude, these settlements, you know, it's not like I have a list of all the names of I mean, we can go and look at them, right? You know, and if I had Rashid Khalidi here, he could be able to tell you all the names of the early villages, the ones that are built, that have been replaced. But they have been massacring, you know, and driving out the indigenous population since the 20s, you know? I mean, ever since the Balfour Declaration and the British Mandate of 1922, that has been happening. And certainly in the 30s, you know, you had the revolt, the first revolt, 1938, 1939. They revolted. You know, so many massacres. Yeah, name one settlement not built on blood-soaked soil. The Palestinians revolted in 1920 as well. Okay, yeah. Like I say, I have to go back and like read the interwar period from the 100 Years' War on Palestine, but it goes extensively into detail. I mean, we could crack open the book and go through it, but you know, yeah, Dair Yassin. I mean, I know that was he's trying to say, oh, but 1947. It's like Dair Yassin was a. What is Dair Yassin now? I mean, it's like. What? I really want to know what the name of it is. The site of the Dair Yassin massacre is now part of the Kafar Shal Mental Health Center. The only remaining buildings from the original Dair Yassin are now part of the center. The village was now given the name Givat Shal Bet. So they just massacred 100 people. Everybody fled. I mean, how many villages have they razed to the ground, you know, just to build on top of them? Dair Yassin. Yeah, and I love that he's trying to defend Israel And he's saying, well, what about, name me one massacre that happened before the state of Israel? Okay, well, there was, Deir Yassin was one of them. I don't know all of them, okay? There's so many. And some that have been, but it's been going on, like one of the chatters said, since the 20s, these massacres. And look, the Irgun, this was the terrorist organization, the Zionist Paramilitary, which is another word for terrorist organization, operated in Mandatory Palestine from 1931 to 1948. So they've been terrorizing Arab settlements, forcing displacement through terrorism since 1931. Now that's just the Irgun we're talking about. Lehi is another one. That one came later, in 1940. Remember, we're looking at Wikipedia. These are just massacres before 1947, and this is just on Wikipedia. What else did I want to say? So yeah, the Lehi, the Irgun, Deir Yassin.
Did a Palestinian assassinate the Prime Minister of Jordan and then lick up his blood from the floor? But please don't call me names just because you don't like what I say. I am a very sensitive...
No, it's not that I don't like what you say, it's just that you're a fucking liar. So if you're a liar, I'm going to call you a liar, because that's factually what you're doing, is lying. That's what you're being, is a liar. So I'll call you whatever I want to call you. And I think I'm going to call you a chode.
Sensitive guy. And I'm just getting started. So the Palestinians are very good at...
You're just getting started? It's going to be a long night for you.
...hating. And no, it is not because they are poor. They choose terror. They choose to hate. The Palestinians get more money.
They choose to hate. That's a nice little subjective obfuscation. It's a nice little subjective thing that you can say that you don't have to really back up with anything. It's a speculative value judgment you're making on an entire ethnic group. Okay? It's convenient for the fact that it doesn't need to be backed up by any facts or evidence. You can just make assumptions on their character. You can do character assassination as your entire talking point. Well, they're just prone to violence. They just hate. That's just what they do. Oh, okay. No need to further look into it then. I guess let's exterminate them because they're rats.
Per capita than any real refugees in the world, but they chose not to...
They're not real refugees, folks.
...invest it in civil infrastructure and new technologies. No, they choose to build rockets and shoot at Israeli civilians.
Yeah, they could use... What did he say? Let's see if we can pay attention to the language here for a second.
...in the world, but they chose... It is not...
I always think it's good to use their language against them.
...sensitive guy, and I'm just getting started. So the Palestinians are very good at hating, and no, it is not because they are poor. They choose terror. They choose to hate. The Palestinians get...
Why does he sound French? They choose terror.
...get more money per capita than any real refugees in the world.
Did he just say they make more money per capita than any real refugees? Of all the slaves in the entire world, the Gazan slaves make more per capita. Is that real? Is this guy being for real? I have to hear this one more time. This is
sensitive guy.
Crazy.
And I'm just getting started. So the Palestinians are very good at hating. And no, it is not because they are poor.
It's not because they're poor. That's not why they hate. So he's saying they're not good at what they're not good at hating because they're poor. Okay, there we go. Here's the...
They choose terror. They choose to hate. The Palestinians get more money per capita than any real refugees in...
What? Do these people not hear themselves? Do they not hear how unhinged they are? This motherfucker said the Palestinians get more money per capita than any real refugees in the world. They have more than enough money, folks. Of all the poor slaves that exist in the world, the Palestinians get more money. And what did they do with that money? Did they build infrastructure? Do they build their schools, their hospitals after we bomb them? No. They choose to arm themselves. They choose violence. These motherfuckers woke up and just chose violence because they're good at hating. Like they want to get up and die for country. They love death. They just like to die. We're just sort of helping them do what they love to do. They're martyrs. How are we expected to believe this shit. And another thing that we could talk about is, I wonder why they don't build any civilian buildings. Could it be that A, Israel bombs those buildings, and B, blockades the construction material needed to rebuild? No. They just choose violence.
In the world, but they chose not to invest it in civil infrastructure and new technologies.
Because you bomb them, and then you deny the materials they need to build, you dumb
No, they chose to build rockets and shoot at Israeli civilians and build tunnels, not to protect.
Yeah, they build tunnels because they just like to go underground and in hiding. Why does Israel build tunnels? Why, for the last 12 days, has the Prime Minister of Israel sequestered himself underground for fear of violence? Is he also just good at hating? Is the Prime Minister Hamas?
Nixon ordered Cambodian genocide. Sent cruise missiles to Sudan, people died. Gave the orders to do drone strikes.